Hey guys, it's Rob from Team DBZ Biscuit again. No clever tricks and going into Mystic Mind burn deck builds and stuff like that. This is a once again by request of certain viewers who wanted to see an updated version of Dark World. And of course, as we know, you go back to some of my earlier days, and I've always referred to him as the rock star of the whole deck, Graph of Dark World of the Dark World. He is just insane. He's dumped to the graveyard as long as it's not a cost. If he goes by gates, if he goes by Dark World dealings, if he goes by any other form, he gets to pop a card on the field. And he does so many things. And he's an inherit summon out of the graveyard by returning a Dark World monster to your hand. He's just a beast. He's a recurring problem child, as we call him. But he is just a big and beefy recurring problem child. Along with the Dark World lineup, we run 1 Silva and 2 Beige. I run them on the special summon effect because when I'm trying to get Grappas out of the graveyard, if I can special summon without using a normal summon, I can probably bring out more than 1 Grappa if they're in there. And that's why I play those 3 cards. Snow, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, is the Stratos for this deck, and every deck seems to have their own version of Stratos nowadays. But the thing about him is that he can search any card with Dark World in the name, which is insane. He can search your field spell, he can search dealings, he can search Dark World monsters, he can search Dark World brainwashing, gateway to the Dark World. He can summon that. He can grab that thing of that version of Monster Reborn for Dark World creatures only. It's insane. He can search so much stuff. And then I do feel more obligated to also tell you that if you play the mirror match of a Dark World, which is very rare, and a Dark World player dumps a Snow on you, your Snow is now a Monster Reborn on his graveyard. So say he dumped a Graph and you dumped Snow by his card effect, you now can Monster Reborn his Graph out of his grave, which is stupid. But it's the way the deck is. And then of course your draw engine starts off with a monster of its own, Brow. Brow is the Huntsman of the Dark World. If sent by your opponent's card effect, you get to draw 2 cards. On your own card effects, you get to draw 1. But like on Gates or Drag Down to the Grave, they choose Brow, you get to draw 1 for Gates, or you get to draw 1 for Drag Down, and then you get to draw 1 for Brow. So you're drawing 2. It's pretty good stuff. Now it's part of the non-Dark World engine. I run Tour Guide of the Underworld because Tour Guide is just so good in special summoning, and it's a fiend, and it's a target if you have gates on the field that you can just dump out of there and banish and draw. But my primary target when I do play Tour Guide is not a Dark World monster, unless Graph is already in there, and then I'll, if I'm gonna OTK you or first turn kill you, I will go for a Brow. But other than that, I like to use the Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Fiendish Rhino Warrior on his own, an amazing card. He can, if your opponent rejects and you have a field full of Grappas and a Rhino is the only one to get destroyed because he protects every other fiend on the field. If he gets sent to the graveyard, whether it be by Foolish Burial, whether it be by your opponent's card effect, your own card effect, as a part of an XYZ detach maneuver, he will send any fiend in your deck to the graveyard, which 90% of the time will be your Grappa. And that's why Fiendish Rhino is so good. Like I said, I'm going back in the day when I first joined the team with this, and for you guys who remember it, I used to run the Malefic Engine. Malefic Stardust Dragon. To bring it out, all you need is a field spell and you need the field spell, and you need to be able to banish a Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. But it's insane because if you have gates on the field, you bring one out, you normal summon Brow, you bounce it back, you bring a Graph, you overlay into a freaking goddamn rank 8 zombie Stein at 4,500 attack, and your opponent is going to have a field day trying to swing over that thing. Because there's not many monsters in this game bigger than 4,500. And of course, my last monster in the monster lineup, and thanks again Konami, you know, Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar can turn a losing hand into a winning hand, or no hand, real quick. He has upset many people that I have played against. And yep, Morphing Jar, flip. This card is flip summoned. You dump your hand, or if you have a hand, your opponent dumps, and you both draw 5 new cards. But the problem with in Dark World is if you draw into that, you can kill somebody really easy. You will beat somebody really easy if you do that. You basically reset the whole game by doing it. But that is the monster lineup. I think it's like 18 monsters, which is a pretty well balanced deck. Now onto the spell cards. We run 3 copies of the Gates of the Dark World. Gates is part of the draw engine. Not to mention it gives all your Dark World creatures a 300 boost. Not that Grapha needs it, but 3K Grapha is much scarier than a 2700 Grapha. Along with that, I run a series of 1/4s, the 1/4 Dark Hole, the 1/4 Card Destruction, the 1/4 Regeki, and the 1/4 Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn and Card Destruction are pretty self-explanatory in a Dark World deck, because if you're throwing your cards to the graveyard, they're still getting their effects. And not to mention, you get to draw the same number. So if you somehow dump 3 Brows and a Snow, you draw 4, you get to draw 3 more for the Brows, and then you get to search for the Snow effect. So you're like plussing 4 cards off of what you just dumped. The nice thing, the reason I run Regeki in the Dark Hole, Regeki will just wipe out your opponent's side of the field. Dark Hole, yes, it wipes out your side of the field, but you know what? You're gonna bring Grapha back anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's followed up with 2 Dark World Dealings. Dark World Dealings, draw 1, dump 1. It's a Dark World monster, gets its effect. So just follow this if you can. Dark World Dealings, draw, dump a beige. Beige comes out, bounce beige, bring out a Grapha, normal summon beige, bring out another Grapha. That's why we call Grapha the problem child, because he can be brought out multiple times in a turn. Insight in this game, you know, to me is very important, and nothing gives me better insight to what you're playing than Drag Down to the Grave. Drag Down to the Grave allows me to look at your hand okay, I'll dump what I find threatening. You are going to end up dumping a Dark World monster. And the effect is going to go off. So if you dump a Grapha, it's going to pop something. If you dump a beige, it's coming out. If you dump a Brow, I'm drawing 2. If you dump a Snow, I'm searching. And that's the way it is. Great card. And of course, everything being dark in this deck, with the exception of Morphing Jar, I run 3 Allure Darknesses. Allure Darkness, part of that monster Dark World draw engine. Draw 2, banish 1. You know, and you can banish a Snow, you can banish a Brow, you can banish the beige if you want to. And then the reason I'm saying the level 3 and 4s, you'll see it in the extra deck. That's why. And for back row hate, I run 2 Twin Twisters. Again, granted, you dump a Dark World monster off a Twin Twister, you don't get the effect. It's okay. If it's a Graph, it still gets to come out when you normal summon a monster. And as for Dark World as it is, as a whole, I run 1 Skill Drain, trap card, and then I had bumped up my trap count by 3, and I run 3 Fiendish Chains. Fiendish Chains is my replacement for the limited to 1 Skill Drain. You know, it can stop monsters until they link off. It can stop linking monsters, it can stop XYZs, it can stop anything you want to stop, it can stop. The only thing you can't stop is a Jinzo. Or something like that. But that is the main deck. Extra deck, and this is why I was speaking of the level 3s and 4s, because I run 1 Leviair. 1 Leviair is so easy to make. If you're mid-game and you got those banished Snows and Beiges and Brows out there, you summon Tour Guide, you bring out a Fiendish Rhino, you overlay into a Leviair, you dump the Rhino for to bring it back a Brow, and then the Rhino gets its effect to dump a Grapha. You bring out the Grapha by returning Brow to your hand. It's pretty insane stuff, you know. But it works. It's freaking amazing. I run one Dante because it's very important to mill and end up putting Dark World monsters into your graveyard. I run one Leviathan Dragon because, you know, it goes along with the tour guide. If it's an opening tour guide play and I get a Rhino, I'll put a 2500 attack power Leviathan Dragon up there, but I'll still get the Rhino effect, and I'm still going to have 4 cards in my hand. 4 to 5 cards in my hand to do whatever I want. So it's a pretty reasonable trade-off. I do one Nightmare Shark for those really close games. You know, say you got 2,000 life points, I'd summon tour guide. I bring out Rhino, I detach Rhino. He gets to attack directly, though he's the only one who can attack. He punches you for 2k and the game's over. I run one Zen mains for when the deck wants to get cloggy. And again, I will make Zen mains by tour guide, Rhino, Zen mains, put them out there in defense mode. Opponent tries to kill it, detach one. Usually the Rhino effect goes off. Boom. There's Graph. See, there's a million ways to get Graph to the graveyard, guys. And my last choice on nope, actually there's one more. Acid Golem. Acid Golem on Skill Drain is a pain in the butt. He's 3k. You know, and sometimes you're just not afraid to take that little bit of damage so you can punch somebody in the face for 3k. My last rank 3, Breaksword. Breaksword's good to get rid of that pesky, you know, and the funny thing is, it doesn't have to be front row, but again, it's a rank 3, tour guide, Rhino. Guys, I'm repeating myself, I know, but it's just that important. I want you guys to work on that. Tour guide into Rhino, you know, Breaksword effect, bing, pop it off, Rhino goes to the grave, Rhino gets that, what? What, guys? What's Rhino get? Grapha! That's right! Very good. I run one rank 4, and that's Crazy Box, because Crazy Box on Skill Drain and Gates is 3300 attack power of pain. Just pure pain. And in some way he gets destroyed, he's a fiend, so you can play him, you can banish him for Gates. And that does it for that. Of course, with the running of Malefics, you gotta have your Stardust Dragons. Guys, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about this. He brings out Malefic Stardust. Malefic Stardust is basically field barrier for your Gates. With Malefic Stardust Dragon on the field, Gates cannot be MST'd, it cannot be Twin Twisted, it cannot be destroyed. I have tried to stay away from Link monsters, but in some games it's necessary. You know, Nightmare Phoenix is the only Link monster I run, and that's because I can get him off of 2 monsters with different names, dump a Dark World card into the grave, Grapha, and then pop one either back row field spell or something like that. You know, maybe an equip card, and equip to your monster if you're playing that Red Eyes build and you have that little Red Eyes monster attached to it. Pop that, you know, but Phoenix. And then of course, you know, I run the rank 8s because I run so many level 8s. I run rank 8s. I run Heretic Sun Dragon, and he is wicked because he can just pop the number of cards. You detach from him, discard, say 3 monsters, and you can pop up to 3 cards on the field. Granted, the cost of dumping them out of your hand is then going to get the Dark World effect, but you're going to sit there and hit your opponent for 3k. And then last one, again, Rockstar himself, Zombie Stein. I mentioned him a lot. I talk very fondly about him because he's a 4500 booty, guys. You're not going to just like summon a monster and make a Link monster to swing over him. You know, I mean, Borrelode would have a hard time swinging over him with Skill Drain. Borrelode or Borrelsword ain't going to swing over him if Skill Drain's on the field. So, but that's the extra deck. And I don't technically have the side deck, and what I'd like to suggest to you guys is potentially running some other cards in your side deck. Lilith, for example. I know my Liliths are tied up in my burn deck. I know, guys. I already know. But Lilith is really good because Lilith you can search. If you use the Lilith engine, how about this? Lilith is a fiend, first of all, so she's good for gates. But Lilith can also get you Metaverse. Metaverse, set, activate, you can get your gates. There's another way to get gates. Terraform. I don't run the Metaverse per se in the deck because between the three snows and the 2 terraformings, that's 5 ways to get to gates. That's plenty of ways to get to gates. Metaverse is just another alternative, and it's a good alternative. It's a solid side deck card if you need to. A lot of you guys will ask me my next 3 side deck potential cards. Imperial Order not so much because as I think about it, because that will stop me, but honestly, any spell fragrance really doesn't hurt the deck. Especially if you go first and you run your draw engine, so you draw like 8 cards and you burn through a quarter of your spell cards. Say you're playing a pendulum person, say you're playing somebody playing Odd Eyes. Do you know how upset that person gets when you flip? He puts out one, say he puts out one Odd Eyes pendulum dragon, vortex dragon, or whatever. Just say he does that, and you flip this on him. He can't play any more pen scale zones. He gets upset, but it's okay. And yes, guys, we all know Emmanuel loves Odd Eyes, and I'm just saying because he's sitting off camera laughing. But another possibility, and it helps build the speed of the engine, and again, it is searchable with Lilith. It is Reckless Greed. Reckless Greed will speed up the deck of this deck. It will speed it up. I mean, but I just have trouble finding a lot of things to take out to do it because we tested that build and it just did some really crazy stuff. But just think of it, if you had 2 Reckless Greed set, you summon Lilith, grab a 3rd, you know, and then your opponent's end phase, you just go, and you're top decking. This is so primo if you have no cards in hand. Go 1, 2, 3, 6. You draw 6 and you can't draw for 2 turns. That is crazy. That is crazy. But those are some side deck ideas. I mean, you think about the meta. Another good side deck card would be Summon Limit. I know Power Rangers and Quantals, or whatever you want to call them, they had this thing about summoning and summoning and summoning, and you flip Summon Limit after the second one, they got upset, but that's okay. Like I said, you know, it's a great deck, it's a fun deck. I got requests to do another deck profile on it. I haven't done one since like 2018, I believe, but that's okay. You know, it's a Dark World build, it's a fun deck. You know, are you going to go to Nats and win with it? Probably not. Are you going to go to Worlds? Definitely not. But you know what, if you want a nice simple deck to build, and I mean, it was ironic, I went to Walmart today and I saw that they had the actual Dark World structure deck with Grab on the cover still on the store shelf. Don't ask me what Walmart's been doing, but you know, that's okay. Alright, but that's the deck build, guys. Like, subscribe, and for all 1,833 of you guys that already subscribed to the channel, thank you. Keep liking the channel, keep loving the channel, smash that like button, give us a big thumbs up. Give us some ideas on what deck profiles you want to see. How about some RLDs? We haven't done any RLDs in a while. Now that I got weekends off and we're getting back on a more consistent schedule, we'll be posting some of those. But the problem with RLDs is 90% of the time either he kills me fast, I kill him too fast, and it's like a 30-second video. But yeah, let's do that. Let's hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Closing in on 2,000. I know Emmanuel's got some plans coming up that might revolve around a possible giveaway for 2,000. All right, guys, but keep liking it, keep loving it. I'm Rob, and I am out of here.